Whiskers the cat was a clever cat. He was always curious, exploring every nook and cranny of the house. His bright eyes sparkled with mischief and intelligence. He had bright, shiny eyes that seemed to see everything. Nothing could escape his keen gaze. And a soft, fluffy tail that he would often wag playfully. His tail was like a plume, always in motion, reflecting his lively spirit. Squeaky the mouse was very small. He had big ears that twitched at the slightest sound. His ears were his radar, always alert, and a long, twitchy nose that was always sniffing around. Squeaky's nose was his guide, leading him to crumbs and hidden treasures. They lived in a cozy house with a kind old lady. The house was warm and inviting, filled with the scent of fresh cookies and the sound of laughter. She loved to watch them play. Her heart would fill with joy seeing Whiskers and Squeaky's antics. They were her little family. Whiskers loved to chase Squeaky. It was their game. Squeaky was very quick, darting around like a tiny bolt of lightning. He could squeeze into tiny spaces, disappearing into cracks and crevices where Whiskers couldn't follow. It was his secret advantage. Whiskers would pretend to be asleep, his eyes half closed, watching and waiting. He was a master of patience. He waited for Squeaky to come out. The moment Squeaky thought it was safe, Whiskers would pounce, and the chase would begin again. Their playful bond was unbreakable, a testament to their friendship. One day Squeaky smelled cheese. Delicious, smelly cheese. The cheese was on the kitchen counter. Squeaky wanted the cheese. He had a plan. Squeaky made a tiny noise. Whiskers heard it. He opened one eye. Squeaky took a tiny crumb. He ran very fast. Whiskers chased him. They ran all around the kitchen. The kind old lady laughed. "You two are so funny," she said. Whiskers loved his toy mouse. It was his favorite toy in the whole world. Every day he would spend hours playing with it, batting it around the house and chasing it under the furniture. He batted it with his paws, sending it skittering across the floor. Sometimes he would leap into the air and pounce on it, pretending it was a real mouse. He carried it in his mouth, proudly parading it around the house. It was his prized possession, and he never let it out of his sight. One day, the toy mouse was gone. Whiskers looked everywhere. He searched under the couch, behind the curtains, and even in his favorite hiding spots, but it was nowhere to be found. Whiskers looked so sad, and he meowed sadly, hoping someone would help him find it. Squeaky, the little mouse who lived in the house, felt a little bad. He had seen how much Whiskers loved that toy mouse. He knew where the toy was. He had hidden it. Squeaky had thought it would be a fun game, but now he saw how sad Whiskers was. He wanted to play a trick, but he didn't want to make Whiskers unhappy, so he decided to end the game and return the toy mouse. Squeaky pushed the toy mouse out from its hiding spot. He nudged it carefully, making sure it would roll towards Whiskers. It landed near Whiskers' paws. Whiskers was so happy. He purred with delight and immediately started playing with his toy mouse again. All was well in Whiskers' world once more. Section 4. A Surprise Alliance. One sunny afternoon, the kind old lady was in her cozy kitchen, baking with love and care. She hummed a cheerful tune as she mixed the ingredients in a big bowl, her hands moving with practiced ease. The kitchen was filled with the delightful aroma of freshly baked goods, making it a warm and inviting place. After a while, she made a delicious pie, its golden crust perfectly baked. The steam rose from the pie, carrying the sweet scent of apples and cinnamon. She carefully placed it on a cooling rack, admiring her handiwork with a satisfied smile. She decided to put it on the windowsill to cool, where a gentle breeze would help it set just right. The pie sat there, looking absolutely scrumptious, as the old lady went back to her baking. But little did she know, a naughty bird had been watching from a nearby tree. The bird's eyes sparkled with mischief as it eyed the pie, its beak watering at the thought of the delicious treat. It couldn't resist the temptation and decided to swoop down towards the pie. As the bird flew down towards the windowsill, Whiskers, the old lady's cat, noticed the intruder. Whiskers had been lounging lazily by the window, but now his eyes were fixed on the bird, his body tensing with anticipation. Whiskers hissed and pawed at the window, trying to scare the bird away. His sharp claws tapped against the glass, making a loud noise that echoed through the kitchen. But the bird was determined and didn't back off easily. Just then, Squeaky, the little mouse who lived in a hole in the wall, saw the bird too. He squeaked loudly, his tiny voice filled with urgency. The combined efforts of Whiskers and Squeaky startled the bird, making it flap its wings frantically and fly away. The pie was safe, thanks to the unlikely alliance between the cat and the mouse. The old lady, completely unaware of the drama that had unfolded, continued with her baking. She didn't notice the heroic efforts of her furry and feathered friends, but the pie remained untouched, cooling peacefully on the windowsill. Section 5. An unlikely friendship. Whiskers and Squeaky looked at each other. They had worked together. Maybe they weren't so different. Whiskers nudged Squeaky with his nose. Squeaky giggled. From that day on, Whiskers and Squeaky became friends. They still chased each other. They still played tricks. But they also looked out for each other. They learned that friendship is the best adventure of all.